Hey everybody, welcome to Wiccan Ways. It is your girl Pearl.
And Stacy on the side. Hey.
Hey. All right, so today what we're going to do is a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But I'm going to start off with a couple of spooky stories that are all true and here from West Virginia.
Dun, 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 dun.
So the first one is the Headless Horseman of Powell Mountain. This is a well known among the people who live in and around Birch River, a village at the foot of Powell Mountain in Nicholas County. In recent years, the road over the mountain has been located and modernized, and the ghost of the Headless Horseman is seen no more. The story was told to me by Sylvia Cox, a student in my class at Glenville State College. Out on top of Powell Mountain in Nicholas County, there is a lonely grave. It is the final resting place of Henry Young, a young man who was killed by the Home Guard during the Civil War. During the Civil War, civilians sometimes organized into groups who called themselves the Home Guard. Their purpose was to protect their homes against the ravages of enemy soldiers, but some of them were in reality nothing more than guerrilla bands of outlaws. It was such a group that murdered Henry Young. A lonely road, now seldomly used, winds down the hill from the grave. Partway down the hill, there is a huge rock, which in days of the old made a fine camping spot for people who come from miles away to gather chestnuts in the fall. Every night about midnight, Henry Young rides that road. First can be heard of the clanking of the chains which bound him, then the shadowy outline of a horse, and a rider comes into view. One notices that the rider has no head. Closer they come, out of the night emerges the headless horseman, carrying his head in his lap. He does not stop. He does not bother anyone. He does not even so much as move the head on his lap to right or left, but he passes on down the trail to emerge again the following night, just at midnight. I have another one. I know a lot of people had heard lots of spooky tales of a headless man or a headless horseman or a headless man by a train. So I just had a memory of when I was younger. My dad, we had always
Oh,
heard about
Lord.
a man who lost his head at a train state down at the train tracks down on the street from our house. And so he took us down to these railroad tracks on Halloween night and scared the bejesus out of us. So these little headless stories. I don't know. I think everyone knows a little headless story of a man in their neighborhood or in their side of towns or states, etc.
Yeah.
Next, next is the headless rider of Spruce Lick.
Oh,
This
gosh, you're going all
story,
headless.
this story was contributed to by Natalie McCoy Powell, who heard it from Dolly Stewart of Sutton Braxton County. The story is based on an actual murder case. A, a good many years ago, a murder was committed in the community now known as Spruce Lick. It was about 6 miles above Sutton on the branch of Wolf Creek, which is joined by a creek called Spruce Lick. Just a short distance below the junction of the streams is the spot where the murder was committed. A disagreement had arose between the two men because one of them had been seeing the other man's wife. They met at this spot, and then the enraged husband killed the other man, cut off his head. The head was thrown across the creek, and the body was burned in the brush pile. Shortly after the murder, anyone riding or walking past this spot about midnight or early morning was likely to be accompanied by the headless rider. Sometimes he would grasp the reins of the other horses to try to turn it back. Most people who encountered this ghost would spur their horses to try to outdistance him. It was said that the horses detected the headless rider before the owners did, and the horses would try to run away from the ghost. One man rode his horse so hard in trying to get away, it took his horse a long time to recover. Many people still don't like to travel that road at night unless they are in groups of more than two people. Spooky. All right, and I got one more headless man. Where'd you go, ho? Oh, my sister, I'm gonna knock her out. But anyways, she left, so it's just me. I'm gonna continue winging it. The Headless Horseman of Braxton County. For the last 100 years, people have talked about the Headless Horseman that appears in the low gap between the waters of Jim's Run and Clover's Fork and Flesher Run. The story was told by Elizabeth Lee Kidd of Braxton County. Just at midnight, this horseman can be seen riding his black horse down the hill at a gallop. The rider has no head. When the horse jumps onto the road, the rider vanishes. The horse dives into the woods on the opposite side of the road and disappears. At the place where the horse disappears, a cow can be seen eating grass. This horseman always came out of the west along the old Peggy Valley line. The horse jumps onto the road at the place where the horse line crosses the road. The first person to see the ghost was an old black man who lived near the place before the Civil War. No one seemed to know the reason why this mysterious ghost rider appears at this place, or why Stacy just dips out.
I am so sorry I lost connection. So I tried to go back in through the sign in and that didn't work.
Nope.
So, oops. But thank you for letting me back in.
I looked up, I was like, where'd she go?
Technology is not my forte. Happens when you get old, you'll catch up. Why'd you go with the headless ones?
I already said, because around Halloween time, I have a vivid
Okay.
memory of Dad telling us the story of the headless man who got his head chopped off by a train passing or something. And then him and Randy had took us down there, to the train station and scared us. Not to the train station, but to the train track. And then they had Jimmy, he had ran out of the house, and he was wearing a gorilla costume. And
I've never heard of this story.
You never heard of this? And then
if I did, I just forgot. But no.
Yeah, and it was like me, Jessica Star, and Putt, and I think Randy and Robbie were all trick-or-treating together. And then Jimmy was chasing Jessica because we all jumped into the van and we left Jessica. She was all running and she was crying.
That is funny.
And I remember Uncle Mike, he sat on the front porch and he was like Freddy Krueger, and he was acting like a stuffed Freddy Krueger, kind of like limp, you know?
Oh, wow.
And he was sitting on the front porch, and we go up there and we get in the canyon. He jumps up, it scares us, we run away. So yeah, they really got us that Halloween. I think it was like the same Halloween.
That's funny. No, yeah. I don't remember hearing that at all.
Yeah.
That must have been when I was back in my
That was like the only time. That was like the only time Dad has ever took us trick-or-treating, and he made it worth his while. Set up. Yeah. Mom didn't go that year. Usually Mom takes us or has you guys take us.
I remember going around Christmas caroling with y'all.
Yeah, I remember that too.
That was funny.
I remember one year I was a pumpkin, and We had these homemade costumes. I was wearing the big old trash bags that you would put your leaves in for the
Mm-hmm.
fall. And I wore that stuffed with newspapers. And I was
Mm-hmm.
walking around with a big old pumpkin. And like when I'm at people's houses, like little turds of like newspaper will fall out. And it'll just be sitting on people's front porch.
So you were a shitting pumpkin, huh?
I was, and I got so embarrassed. I was like, forget it. And so I took it off and I had on like biker shorts and a biker shirt underneath it. I was like, I guess I'm just gonna be a biker. Like a motor, not a motorcyclist, but like a regular bicycle
That's
biker.
funny you said that because I was a pumpkin years ago, a jack-o'-lantern, and
Hmm.
we didn't have the orange trash bags or nothing. So of course, Dad, being a painter, Dad, way back when, had no choice but to make costumes. Uh, Painted the bag. We had to let it dry, did that, and yeah, and you make all that noise when you walk.
Yeah.
And then Kathy,
Oh
um,
well, fuck it. Go
yeah,
ahead.
she was a Christmas tree. That's how several years ago I came up with being a Christmas present.
Yeah.
It was fun making Halloween costumes.
Yeah. I
And
remember
just
one year I was a football player and our cousin Gregory, he was a girl.
oh wow, had the
Yeah, I
boobs.
was like, he was wearing a dress.
Oh
And one
wow.
year, again, me and Gregory, I was Raggedy Ann and he was Andy when we were babies, like
Oh,
toddlers. Yeah.
I think I remember pictures of that.
Yeah, there's pictures. Yep. Same thing with the football one and him as a girl.
See, and a
Well,
lot of your childhood memories are with family, though, isn't it?
yeah, of course, that's all we had. I didn't have
I
friends.
know. I mean, like
Well, I mean, I
my
had
old,
friends,
yeah,
but
I know. I meant younger childhood memories,
yeah.
kid memories, not teens. My kids
Yeah.
haven't had that really. My oldest, but y'all were like way older than her. That
Well,
sucks because that's what I
not
had
that
growing
old.
up.
I mean, I'm like, what, 8 years older than her?
10, you're 10. My
9,
other one's 12.
9.5.
Around that. Yeah.
Because she just turned 29, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
I'm 38, so
Knocking on 40.
yep. So yeah, those are since Samhain's coming up, aka Halloween. Um, I kind of wanted to
AKA.
share a few of these little stories. Now, I remember one time you and I think Kathy had took us to a graveyard off of Grove Street. I want to say maybe Pam was with us or
I
Karen.
think you told me about that. And do you know, I've told you about my memory. I don't remember it. I remember walking through there, but I thought I was alone, which I'm sure I wouldn't have gone alone because not down.
Yeah, well,
That old
downtown
one.
wasn't that bad as it is now.
Mm, Actually, I think it's a little bit better than what it was last time. At least that area. They got condos not too far from there.
Well, it's still a bad area.
Yeah, well, this area's getting bad all the way around.
I know you
But
need her to get your ass here.
mm, why don't you go and tell us the story that I know a little bit about from West Virginia? Mothman.
Mothman.
Mothman is the Mothman.
Mothman.
You can see him in
Mothman.
the air.
Mothman.
Dun, dun, dun. Mothman.
Well, I watched a movie. It was the Mothman Prophecies, and and it's a great movie. You should go watch it, you guys. It has Richard Gere in it, so make sure you find that. Watch it. Did you ever watch it yet, sis?
No, I have not. I forgot about it until we mentioned it. I think it was made in 2002.
Yeah, 2002. Yep.
I looked it up. Just didn't click on it to watch it yet.
Yeah, you need to. So this is a true story, and there is this Mothman. Um, when it's in form, it looks like a looks like this.
Uh-oh. Oh, no, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. Gotta support the local artist. We bought this at one of the festivals here at that Bone Festival where I met our last guest at.
Okay.
So this is Mothman. Looks like a big old bat with wings and big old red eyes.
And what area is he in?
Actually all over to my knowledge.
Yeah, but he was first seen the area where you
Yeah,
went to the festival.
yeah, I can't think of the name right off the top of my head
Pleasant
on
View.
where it's located. Yeah,
Pleasant View.
Pleasant View, yeah.
Pleasant
It
View or
was
Pleasant? Yeah.
Pleasantville, Pleasant View. I don't know, somewhere right up there between the Ohio border, right there. And this I don't want to ruin the movie. I really don't.
Well, just give the
But
basics of it.
so
Some
this
theories about it.
this thing appears out of people's where disasters happen. So there's going to be disasters that are going to be happening when this thing comes around. And it's happened all over the world. But there was a big event in West Virginia where before it
It's
happened,
Point Pleasant.
Point Pleasant. Yeah, that sounds right.
Sorry. My head, I knew the
Thanks.
name.
Um,
Point Pleasant, West
yeah.
Virginia.
And we went to the Mothman Festival here, and on I guess it's like the anniversary date of when it was first appeared, I guess. But
Uh,
they this thing appears when there's like major disasters that happen, and it tells people things like it can, and they think it's just energy. They don't think it's an actual physical form, but it can take physical form. Um, but yeah, many people seen it. It speaks to people and knows everything about these people. And when someone sees it, basically, they're going to end up dying. The first lady, she ended up seeing it and she wrecked her car because she saw it. And then while she was in the hospital, they discovered that she had a brain tumor and she ended up dying.
oh,
And then
I didn't
later,
hear that.
well, it's in the movie. But
Okay.
there's also a book, so you can go find the book if you're a reader and you love to read. I'm a movie person because I suck at reading, as you all know by now. And but the major thing that happened was a bridge collapsed. I think it was like on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day.
And I
There
think
was
it was
like
the beginning of December.
there was a big old Christmas parade or something that was going on, and everybody was on the bridge. And the bridge ended up collapsing and killing like 36 people. Yeah. But I recommend you go find the movie or find the book and watch it. Again, it is called Mothman Prophecies. And it's been appeared all over the place, everywhere from with plane crashes, it appeared for people. There was visions about that and they talked about it in the movie, even like nuclear chemical spills or whatever's. Yeah, something like that. Don't quote me, okay? I know I got the
It's on
captions there, but don't read it. Don't read it.
it's on several paranormal type shows also.
Hmm.
Paranormal State did an investigation, and before the bridge collapsed, it was seen right before. So they don't know if it's foretelling of a disaster or if
Or
it's
causing it.
causing. Yeah.
But
And I
it
know
is,
they
thing
Okay.
knows about it, like if it knows everything about one person, for an example, like the main character in the book or in the series, because these are all true stories. I think I made some videos on TikTok about the Mothman Museum. So if you hadn't seen that yet, make sure you go find it on Waken Ways podcast and you can see some of the content on there from that festival. So yeah,
I also heard that it was seen possibly at the Twin Towers, believe it or not. That is in the TV show Expedition X. They also did an investigation. It's a big legend.
yeah. So they think it's a creature from another dimension. So these are other dimension beings that are making contact with our dimension. And it was so funny because like there's a scene in this movie and the guy goes, well, you're so much more sophisticated than a cockroach. Do you ever take the time out and explain yourself to a cockroach? And it's like,
Oh, wow.
sometimes
Okay.
I do. I'm like, I am so sorry. I have to kill you because you freaked me out.
Hey, it's your girl Pearl, and I would love to tell you about this business called the Salty Lunatics Treasure Trove. They have all kinds of amazing things, included 3D wood burning portraits. You can have one done of your animal. Yes, couples, this is for you too. Will make an excellent anniversary gift. How about your child's drawing? You can surprise them and get it wood burned to last forever. How about beautiful mandalas? They're also available in 3D as well. They can even engrave your logo into just about anything. Rocks, wood, steel, glass, and so much more. Each piece will be custom made, and if you want to save some money, tell them your girl Pearl sent you for an additional 10% off of your order. You guys, they even have stamps. How amazing is that? Each piece is designed by this amazing laser. To learn more about this and everything else, please visit thesaltylunatics.com for more information.
And I was like, I'm sorry. But yeah, especially in North Carolina, golly, those water bugs are awful. They scare
Oh
me.
my gosh.
And they fly. I
They
hadn't
fly,
really
they
seen any here in
jump.
West Virginia.
They
Yeah, they're
hiss.
smart.
They hiss.
But,
That's funny you
yeah.
said that. I remember one episode of Married with Children. They were at the end. They were talking about the world, and he's like, "And the cockroach, they'll survive a nuclear blast and everything else."
Yeah.
Because the insects, man, they
Yeah.
they do.
They know how to
crap.
survive. Survival of the fittest.
Well, apparently they're the fittest until they get squashed. Where'd you go?
But then they'll
Okay.
have eggs on them, and then those eggs will be stuck onto your shoe, and then you
Oh
will bring your
God.
shoe to your house.
God, that's so gross.
I know. I try.
I know when you think about walking outside. Oh no, we're getting off subject. Sorry.
Yeah.
Ugh.
All right. So you were gonna tell a spooky story.
Well, not a spooky story, but we used to live in
Oh,
Florida.
wait,
Okay,
hold
go
on.
ahead.
I had this idea that popped in.
Popped
So
in.
we were talking about bridges. Well, Stacy's going to be coming in for Bridge Day here in West Virginia, and this is a
National Bridge
huge
Day.
thing. Yes, this is a huge thing. So the bridge is the National Gorge Bridge in West Virginia. It is the longest and tallest bridge in all of America, or I think in all of the East Coast or something like that. And people will come from all over the world, okay, guys? All over the world will come to jump off of this bridge and use their parachutes and land at the bottom. So they closed this bridge down. It's on a major interstate here, and they have a lot of vendors out here. She's going to be coming here for that, and there's a few activities I'm thinking that we could do that day too. Maybe we can go to a cavern at the end and do a little bit of underground exploring. Um, Maybe we can go check out that mine. I know she was wanting to look at that last time she was here.
I thought we were gonna go on a ghost tour.
Yeah, and Lake Shawnee, that was what I was getting to. I went there last year and it is a land that is cursed. So the land belonged to the Shawnee Indians, um, way back in the way back, right? So when the settlers,
Way back in the way back.
yeah. So when the settlers had came here, they made the English people, they made claims on this land. Well, there was like a son, a daughter, and like another younger child. I can't remember if it was another boy or girl, but I think the Indians had came there one day and they were wanting to claim their land back, and they killed the kids, I think, in a very graphic way. And yeah, and I think they cursed the land. And then ever since then, like this, after so many years had passed, this land eventually turned into a little summer camp, and like children drowned in the lake there. There was like a Ferris wheel and stuff, and a little girl got killed on the Ferris wheel when a truck had backed into it. So, I mean, there's just a lot of
Didn't they turn
spooky
it into
things.
an amusement park?
Well, yeah, that's what I was talking about, like the little festival, and like it was like a campground also, and a little amusement park type of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So there was a lot of deaths that happened there. I think like at least 8 or more, if I'm not mistaken. So now this Shawnee Lake, Shawnee, it has been on a lot of paranormal shows as well. Very, very famous on the TV land. So make sure
The
you
Dead
find out.
Files.
Yeah, a
Amy
lot
and
of
Steve
stuff.
went there.
Yeah, so many people went there and did little shows and stayed the
Because
night and everything.
when
can
you said
stay
you
the
were
night
going
there.
there, I was like, I told my husband, I was like, oh my God, do you remember that episode? Da, 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 da. You're supposed to bring a gift and leave it an offering, meaning peace
Yeah.
to the spirits that are, the native
Yeah,
spirits.
and I made a content on it before on my old page, so I could probably try to see if I still have it somewhere, and maybe I can repost it for you guys on the Wake and Ways podcast too, because I record everything everywhere I go. I get
Oh
content,
God.
so
That means I need to make sure I'm wear makeup when I go up there. That.
So is that something you want to do?
Yeah, but I
Let's
just
go
got to
there.
stop at a healing store, a spiritual store. And I
For
have to
what?
go
I
to
got
whatever
stuff.
draws me.
I got stuff. I got
I know, but
sage if you need it.
no. You got to go into a place. It could be a grocery store. They might want fruit, but you're supposed to go watch it. Dead Files. I forget what episode season. So
So we're going to figure out what we're going to do. I know there's some things I showed my husband. We were just talking about different things. I don't know. If you want to go again, that's fine. I mean, well, you haven't
yes,
been, but I'll go again.
I know.
That's
I've
fine.
seen it on TV.
But yeah, you can actually camp there for the
No,
night, like spend
no,
the night
no,
on the
no.
land.
They don't. No. They still allow people to do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Very popular during this time of year.
Oh, that's crazy.
They also have like a little haunted maze you
Ow.
can go into, but I'm pretty sure that we're not going to do that part. We'll just do the guided tour, and he can give you all
Do
of
they
the
have a
fun
school
stuff.
bus? Do they have a school bus
Yes.
there?
Yes.
I seen that on another episode. I think it was another show. I
Mhm.
watch paranormal shows.
Yep. And they have the swing where the little girl was killed at in March.
You sent me a picture, and I'm telling you, I circled it for you. I could see. Even I had showed my Frosty, and he saw the same thing I did. Sorry, my cat.
Mhm.
Oh, he got me. He's got to go off the bed. Sorry, y'all. Hold on 1 second. I'll fight with him. He's a little monster, man. Now I know why he was at Shoney's. Oh,
Somebody got tired of him, I guess.
yeah, he's a little fighter, man. He
Dang.
just got me. I'm bleeding. He got me.
Well, make sure you wash it. Soap and water.
I know. Did he get your foot? Oh, sorry. That's my son. He's attacking his wire, his phone wire.
Does he want to get on the podcast and say hello to our guests?
I figured we could talk to him this weekend, to both of them, and let them know what the expected rules are and how we would do it.
Okay.
So I thought about bringing Mom's iPad. I'll let you do that, but we'll get it figured out. Because she can't do no updates.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah. Did I buy her a new one? I can't remember.
I know there was 2 of them. I think hers was newer than mine. Mine was, I don't know, a 3, iPad 3 mini. It's been a few years. But unless you're a millionaire, you're not going to keep up with this technology that comes out. They're always making something faster, newer, bigger, smaller, lighter.
Look at my new wind chimes I got.
Oh, those are cute.
It's made of amethyst.
That's what I was thinking. Those are cute.
Thanks. Not
They
bad for
are
$25.
No, because it's the gemstone. So no.
I think it's generated. I think it's fake though. But who
What'd
knows?
you
I
say?
could be wrong.
Generated?
Yeah. Like lab grown.
Created? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of them are still expensive, depending on which one.
Well,
Because
guess what
we
my
added
husband did
one.
for me?
What?
He cleaned some of my bones.
Oh no, you did not.
These are
Don't let
chicken
my-
bones. It's just chicken wing bones.
From what you ate?
Yeah. But
You're so
I was
funny.
really excited. But I have all kinds of bones. I'm gonna make like a wind chime out of these bones from the deer. I think that would be pretty cool.
Deer?
Pretty
What deer?
cool. Deer bones that we find in the yard. The man that used to live here, he killed a lot of deer, and the neighbors around here were getting pissed off at him.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like he said, we have a deer stand in our backyard that's like facing the neighbor's yard, and so the neighbors had built a deer stand in their yard facing his yard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they were like, he was poaching on our land. He was trying to help himself to fish in our ponds and all this other stuff. I was like,
oh wow.
Yeah.
Girl, gotta be careful up there. Those West Virginia feuds ain't no joke.
Yeah. No.
Ain't no joke.
They don't play when it comes to their lands.
And their families.
Well, like our neighbors behind us, like his wife loves feeding the deer, which I do too, because I just love looking at them. They're just like big ass dogs,
majestic.
Yeah. And yeah, I think this year we're going to get a deer. We're going to get a deer. So we can freeze that meat.
Wait, so you're going to set it up. I hope you hunt somewhere else.
No, hunt on our land. You don't need
That's
a
illegal.
license. No, it's not.
And
You are
that's
allowed.
baiting.
I'm not
Baiting deer.
feeding them. I haven't fed them now since I got chickens because
Oh,
the feed is too much money to be wasted on the deer. Um,
that's funny.
but no, I don't feed the deer. The neighbor, she still
Don't tell
does.
me.
Oh, when? Oh, you'll see the head hanging up in my
Now,
house. We're getting
oh my
taxidermy.
God.
Yeah. I need two
Yeah,
of them to put underneath the light. It'll look like this.
you're gonna break a glass red light bulb, put it on his nose, make it look like Rudolph. That's what Dad did to us one Christmas. They had a deer with the hooves. One Christmas, he broke a light bulb and we thought it was Rudolph. He didn't kill it, Dad, but our dad was a mega animal lover. He understood
Yeah.
that some people do it for meat to feed their families, and he gets that. But for sport, no. I think someone
Well,
gave
yeah,
it to him.
we want to do it for eating the
Meat.
meat. Yeah. But I also don't want to waste the bones either. I'll probably keep all of the bones and make something magical out of it if my husband will let me. I'm sure he will. But anyways, let's get back to our stuff here. So you were going to tell a story about Florida. I remember you said something about Florida.
Yeah, we just went on a haunted tour, and we did the haunted tour, and it was really interesting because one of the houses, um, there was a murder there, and the person was shot up against the wall, and the blood was all on the wall, and they could not get rid of the stain for nothing. To this day, there is a stain right at that spot. They've
Mm.
painted it. They've tried covering it, paneling it, and for whatever reason, the stain just keeps coming through. And it was a
Well,
doctor.
they need to cut that spot out and just replace the wood or
But then it would take away from the Monticello haunted tours. But
probably.
several years ago, okay, probably about 20 years ago, Monticello, Florida was named uh the what is it? The smallest haunted town, something like that. We lived in Jefferson County, Florida, Monticello. When we lived there, we've been here back in North Carolina for 3.5 years. When we lived there from 17 to 20, there were still no stoplights in the county. That's how small it is. Antique shops are everywhere. It's blah blah. But the haunted tour is pretty cool. After the tour, you have the option to purchase the cemetery tour. And there's two sections of the cemetery. They call the old and the new. Although I don't think nobody could be buried there. But there was, I cannot remember his name and I feel so bad, but his name was Boots. And he was one of the original soldiers to put up the American flag in Iwo Jima. Now, the picture you see is they redid that for the photographer to take the picture, but the first American flag, which was smaller, he was one of the ones, and he was buried there. Monticello, they saved the money up, and they had his body brought back to Monticello and buried. A lot of people put coins and all kinds of stuff. Now, we went through the whole tour. I took my husband back the next morning because there was a cat that followed us in a cemetery. It was a young, small cat, black and white, and it just meowed. But when we went to the second part of the cemetery, which was the old part, that was, I guess, probably either the first of the cemetery or the poorer part of the cemetery. I'm not sure which. But this cat, his meow changed. It went to a deep, It was a young cat, I'd say probably about 4 months old, and he stopped. He would not go in that one part. I found out later that cats are like soul keepers of cemeteries also, but it was crazy. But in this part, I got a couple pictures of where I think I see things. But there's also another section that all there is a cinder blocks. Is a big square. The story is what we were told that years back, around the Civil War time, during, little before, during, or right after, there was an orphanage and it was run by a church. And one night there was a fire in the wintertime. I think it was like January, February, because that's when it's cold, chilly in Monticello. And the orphanage caught on fire. And it completely burned down because everybody would be upstairs, the fire pit or whatever they call it, fireplace. I was downstairs. And of course, they don't have fire trucks like they do now. And a lot of stuff's made of wood. It burnt down and everybody was lost. And they just put them in a mass grave. It was two nuns, and they don't know how many kids because a lot of records were lost. And people leave toys there. So one day, my daughter and I, when two sons were in school, decided to go buy some toys to put in this area.
I remember
There's a big square, and then in the middle, there's another section to where it divides it. So we bought some little cheap toys to put there, and I bought some girl toys and boy toys. And no, wait a minute. This was before the tour. I'm sorry. We did this before the tour. We heard of it. My husband bought me a book. So we put a little bit of both. Like we had like little toy dinosaurs, bracelets, little pinwheels that blow, stuff like that. And we put them in different sections. I think a week later, we went on the haunted tour. I remember I asked the guide. They were moved. The toys were moved in different areas. A couple of them were still the same, but I even put stuff in the middle. And I asked the tour guide, I was like, do the caretakers who trim up the grass and everything move anything and put it back? She said no. She said from her understanding, they don't do anything on the actual graves, which that whole big lot is. And to me and Dana, I was like, my daughter and I bought some toy, like this one, that one, that one, that one. That's not where we left them all. I even took pictures. And she just kind of made a face. So, but I just felt bad. There's no marker for these kids. Nothing like that. And they said more than likely, if the records got destroyed or didn't get destroyed, it was possibly Black, African American kids who could have possibly died, which they wouldn't keep records of it. But either way, there's just no records. Don't know how many, no ages, no names, not even of the nuns who ran it or caretakers. I don't know what they'd be called. But there's no record. I even try to look up. It just upsets me because there should be some kind of memorial or plaque or something for them.
Well,
That's
maybe
all
you
there
should
is.
make a GoFundMe or something and have one.
I don't know. It just bothers me because there's a lot of kids. There's several, and because that area also had years back they were the producers of watermelon because it's the only county in Florida that connects from Georgia line all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. And when the settlers came in and they were clearing it out, they found watermelon. So watermelon was growing wild. And that's how yellow fever began. Because of the mosquitoes. So
That's interesting.
they had a lot of because when you go into watery area, whatever. In the woods and the swampy areas, they go and release the mosquitoes. And that was bad there. They had a lot of them. Several outbreaks of it there. So back then they didn't know that it came from mosquitoes. So when you're in Florida, you're gonna keep your windows up, especially back then with no electricity. It just kept going on and on and on.
Mm. So I lived in a house when I first moved to West Virginia. We were staying in a rental. We didn't know anything about this place. And when I was there, I just felt like a heavy energy there. And so I staged the place, I'm like, anyone here, leave. So my son told me that he saw like a kid sitting by his room on the floor in the hallway outside of his door.
Really?
Yeah. And he's never expressed that to me, that he could see those things. And my daughter, she said that she saw like a man, and I know she has that capabilities. But she said she saw a man. Now it's weird because I noticed that on the fireplace there was like little drawings, something like a child would do, how kids will get marker and then they just draw little figures and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, this one, I have a picture of it somewhere. And
find it.
I will. And it has like a guy that's looked like it's wearing those old timey like coal farming hats, something from like maybe the 1920s, It sort of like looks like the baseball cap, but it has like that material over it. So
almost
it
like
had
a
that.
jean or denim.
Okay. And I had that and some pants, and it was just a dark figure, and it was drawn onto the bricks of the fireplace, and I just thought that was just odd and weird. And we were getting ready to move. We only stayed there from September to June, and we weren't there too long. And my next door neighbor, she noticed like, the U-Haul outside, and she was like, "Oh, are y'all moving?" And she was like, "No one could stay in that house for a long time." She said the lady that lived there before us said that house was haunted, and that the blinds would just go up and down, up and down. All of the cabinets in the kitchen will be opening and shutting and slamming. The doors would jam. I didn't experience it because I probably staged when I first got there. And so she asked me, had any of that happened? And I said, well, no, because I staged when I got there. I cleansed the house. And she was like, well, that makes sense because shortly after y'all moved in, she started having all of these things happening at her house. So
you sent them over there.
I think so. And I felt so bad. I was like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. And then later, I found out that my son has saw things and everything. And I was like, I felt energy, it just felt heavy and dark, and
oh, so he didn't tell you when y'all lived there?
No, she didn't. She didn't know.
No,
I mean,
your son.
No, he didn't. No, not until after the fact. Yeah.
Wow.
Whenever I was talking about it. And then we find out that 2 or 3 doors down, there was a lady who got murdered in her house on her wedding day. She was a teacher, and she was getting married that day, and she got murdered in that early morning. Someone had broken into her house and killed her.
Oh.
And they finally got the person who did it not too long ago. I think it happened in like 1980s when it happened, the murder. Mm-hmm. And there was like a lot of drugs that were going on that street. Like I said, we didn't know anything about West Virginia. It was during September in this, in the fall when we decided to move there.
Was COVID beginning or what?
That was already gone. This was in 21.
My
It was already
COVID was still
going
going
on.
on. Okay.
Yeah, it was already
So it's not like
started.
there was a bunch of people around there that you can ask either, because everybody was staying
Right.
away from everyone.
People usually move during the summer because they want to align the school year for their kids typically. So
Yeah, that's
that's
true
moving
too.
season. Same thing in the military. It was always PCS season in the summer. So
I seem to move January, December.
so whenever we moved there, we were trying to find a house that had at least 2 bedrooms and a bathroom and stuff. But this house, it was designed, it had because these are coal miners, okay? So in the basement of the house, I called it the cellar. It's a nice storage area. My husband, he turned it into a little workstation for him. But there was a shower downstairs. Just turn it on so they can wash all of the coal and stuff off before they go into the house. Like that's how a lot of the houses were designed.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that was just pretty interesting.
I just thought maybe, so they could kill their own meat,
Are you in a dilemma and you need some answers to your questions? What about the cards? What do they have in store for you? And what about these lines on your hand? What do they mean? And are you missing a person that's passed on? Well, if you answered yes to any of those questions, let me help you. Your answers are right here on the podcast. I have a few services that are available for you, including pendulum readings, tarot card readings, palmistry, and medium work. It starts as little as $5. Don't delay. Send your email today at wickedwayspodcast@outlook.com. And let's get you out of this turmoil that you're finding yourself in. And remember always, blessed to be.
Because when you slaughter your own animal, then you cut it up and everything, you have to take a shower. But yeah, coal mining area, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I just wanted to say I
Creepy.
did live in a haunted house and people told me about it. Like even the neighbors
Afterwards.
there was ghosts. Well, she thought that's why we were moving because she thought because it was haunted. That's why we were moving. She goes, and then I told a girl at work where I lived, and she goes, "Was it the house with the big old blue podiums?" I was like, "Yeah." She says, "No one ever stays there long." I was like, "That's because the shit's haunted."
Yeah, there's always a reason, whether it's maintenance or spiritual. If you see a house that's vacant a lot, it's one or the other. Either the landlords don't keep up with it to where something's always going wrong, or
Yeah.
all right, I'm
All
gonna
right.
tell them real quick about when we went to the cemetery one time and we took pictures, and I
Oh,
was not moving and you were not moving,
I took
and there
some
were
dirt
faces.
from our family's grave.
My daughter wanted
Graveyard
to bring
dirt.
you some.
So you need to make sure you collect that in your arsenal of witchy stuff.
That's
Not
holy
just
land.
any dirt, make sure it's your family's, your people's, and
Good energy.
yeah, and so you can have some hereditary magic, you know.
But tell them about the picture I took. I
Why
thought
don't
it
you
looked like
tell?
Dad.
I don't remember.
It's blurry pictures. You know how when you take pictures, sometimes there's
Yeah,
blurs.
and you're moving the camera,
I
and you always
wasn't.
do those weird pictures. Well, I'm saying that's how the picture looks, like the
Yes,
camera
yes.
moved, everything's all blurry, and
And
I
you
hate
could
when you do
see
that.
it looked like was a this what is it called? Profile, silhouette, outlining. What is that called?
Well, you just said it all.
Oh, did I? Okay. Oops, my bad. I don't know if there's another word for it. Okay, the silhouette of our dad.
Aspiration.
And then there was another one on one side, then there was another one. And you could see where Pearl was. She was like almost in the middle, but you could see her. But then there were two other faces. And that happened in a couple of them. And
I didn't know
then
you'd seen that.
I showed you, you bozo. I'll send them to you
I don't
again.
remember.
Then we came back to the house, and our dad already passed away. And then we came back to the house, and when I walked in, our mom told us that our dad's best friend she got the phone call while we were gone that he died. Leroy
Yeah.
passed like that day or just a couple hours before. And to be honest, I think one of them was Dad and one of them was Leroy. But I'll see if I can find that picture and I'll send it to you.
Okay.
It was just so hot. Let's see. I need my son. Oh, you better not be getting sick, boy.
So there was another episode that we talked about before with my dad dying and how my dad's nephew had came to me in a dream 2 months before my dad passed. And it was Randy. And he
Yeah.
told me, he was like, your dad's gonna die on the twos. And I was like, the twos? And so I was just confused. He just said it's going to be on the twos. So I didn't know if that was like 2 months, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years. I didn't know. And
Yeah.
my dad, he was going into the hospital in Durham, VA for his cancer treatments. And before he went, I mean, he looked like he was in good shape. He was talking fine and everything. And whenever he got there, like, I don't know, just things started looking bad and scary. And
And
I
this was what,
remember
about 2 months prior?
Dad started going in November when it was, I had the dream in October of 2019, and my dad passed December 22nd. So that was 2 months later, and it was on the 22nd, the 2/2s, which is really crazy because that was the 1 year death anniversary of my best friend. And again, it was just so weird because when I went over there to my dad's house for the Christmas celebration, whenever he was still alive, of course, when my friend had died, I don't know, my dad just saw how sad I was and how I was grieving and everything. And he's never really seen me grieve. And I don't know, he just looked at me, and to me, it was like, well, if she's going to be sad on this day, then I might as well, keep her sad on this day and not have the hurt, throughout more time of the year. To me, it's like he knew he was going to die on that day a year later. So he died on my best friend's 1 year death anniversary. It's crazy because I was getting ready to go and release balloons with her family. And that's when my mom called my husband, and my husband was like, hey, your mom called. But he didn't answer the phone because he was still sleeping and he just saw it. And then I was like, well, she probably meant to call somebody else because she hung up before he can answer it. I was because, sometimes she does that,
Yeah.
she'll hit the wrong number, think of the wrong person, dial the wrong person. And then mom called me. And that was something I've always dread because I knew that my mom was going to be calling me. It's like I always had that premonition. My mom is going to be the one to tell me that my father passed. I knew it for many years. And every single time my mom fucking calls me, I get scared. I'm like, she's going to tell me my dad died. She's going to tell me my dad died. And it's like usually when I'm about to go somewhere, like I'm about to go out of town to like Busco Beach and go riding on the 4-wheelers or go off somewhere,
Something enjoyable.
Yeah. And that's what happened. I was getting ready to go to hang out with my friends that were going to be there at the memorial. That she told me that my dad died. It's something that I've always knew was going to happen.
She didn't tell me. She called Alan's phone.
Well, that was something Dad always wanted. She said that Dad always thought that it would be better coming from the spouse so they can be there and comfort them during that time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I don't
But
know.
it's
I
just,
just always
it's
knew
weird.
it was going to be mom calling me before I'm about to go somewhere.
And we knew he had cancer and he just finished chemo, but
Yeah, and I
he
mean,
was
when he was at the
fine.
hospital, it was very touch and go. Um, Dad was having hallucinations. He was seeing things in the room, and me and mom just kind of looked at each other like, "Holy shit!"
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's because he couldn't go pee, so supposedly his body was being poisoned.
Acid, the
It was the
pneumonia.
chemo. It was the chemo that
Yeah.
killed him at the end of the
I,
day. That's why I
yes and no.
refuse.
I
I
think because of that,
refuse. Yes, he went downhill fast whenever he was on those chemo treatments. Um,
just don't say this too
and
much to mom because she blames
she
herself
already
a
knows.
lot.
She already knows. This
I think it's
dad
sleep
wanted
apnea did it.
dad wanted to fight. Dad wanted to fight.
Yeah.
He wanted
Yeah.
this. So he wouldn't have done it unless he didn't want to do it. He wouldn't have done it if he didn't want to. So I am all about getting your radiation treatments, fine, but chemo, I would never ever have chemo treatments. I don't care what's at stake. I won't do it. Because that kills all the good shit in your body too.
Well,
So,
mom survived it. Our
well,
mom had breast cancer and she survived it.
I don't recall her taking chemo. I remember her having radiation,
She had
but I
chemo.
don't.
She said that she would go in Friday after work. She still worked full time too through it. She'd go Friday afternoon, be sick all weekend, and that's when the family friend that I no longer speak to come over and cook for y'all dinner and stuff because she would
Mm,
be so sick. But you may have been working. I don't know how old you were.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But I know 6 weeks before Dad passed, a bird flew in our house, and my husband had to catch it. A lot of people believe if a bird flies in your house,
It's an omen.
someone. Mm-hmm. Now we
We're a
were
very
freaking out.
superstitious. We're a very superstitious family.
No, we're not super. There's signs, and it's
Yes,
if
we
you
are.
recognize them and pay attention to them.
Well,
I
that's
think there's
superstitious.
signs.
Yeah. Well, mom even thinks that if you have knickknacks to shoes, they have to be facing the door to the house so it'll keep the evil out.
I know you're
That's
not
some
supposed.
witchy shit.
I know you're not supposed to put your purse on the floor. You'll always be broke.
You're also not supposed to have a $2 bill in your wallet because you'll always be broke. But I always
Never
thought
heard
if you
that.
kept a $2 bill in your wallet, then you'll always have money. So I don't know.
Do they have $3 bills?
Not to my knowledge. I know they have $2 bills.
That's funny. I was gonna say I'd never heard of that one.
But
But yeah, it weakened him.
yeah.
Crazy time. I don't
Yeah.
remember much about it. I don't remember driving
And
up
I
here.
remember like dad, he wanted to leave that hospital. He did not want to die there at all. I was like, Dad, you need to go pee, you know, go pee so you can go
He,
home because they wouldn't discharge him until he pees
yeah, the
to
prostate.
go home. Yeah. So I was like, Dad, I know you want to get out of here, so you just got to pee. That's all you got to do. And so he went pee, so he was able to go home, and he died 10 days later, peacefully in his sleep, like how he always wanted to go.
And we do know that because remember we were all talking and mom's like, no, his arm wasn't like that. He always sat with both arms curled, bent under his head, and normally in close to a fetal position, not all the way scrunched up like a baby, but legs bent. And she
Yeah.
said that's how he was. So, because I was afraid he felt pain and he was reaching.
No, mom said she pulled on him, trying to wake him up.
Try to give him CPR. She couldn't. She couldn't roll him over because he was on his side. And even the dog was right beside him on it by his legs. And they know. So that's what tells me it was very peaceful.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we had that
I was a
discussion when we
weirdo.
did.
I was a
Yes,
weirdo.
I
I
know.
took a picture of my dad when
You
he was
sent it to
dead
me.
in his bed. Which I'm glad I did because I wanted to read his palm. That was one thing I wanted to do before he passed because I was just starting to study palmistry, and I just kind of always wondered like when is he going to die and stuff. So yeah, I was able to see his palm, and he died when he was supposed to. Welcome back.
The only thing that I feel horrible was mom finding him. That's the one thing I regret about it all. And not being here, and I think if we changed anything, like she was upset at herself because he kept saying he was cold, he was cold, he was cold, and they told her at the hospital to call them and notify them if he's cold, and she didn't. But I tried to tell her, I was like, if you'd have done anything different, it could
He
have
would have died in
prolonged,
that
and
hospital, and
it would have been
amen.
it would have been agony for him. Yeah. So the way he was found, yeah, he went the best way.
Yeah. Unlike his nephew, he kind of died horribly. He wasn't feeling good. He wanted to
Who?
Randy.
Okay.
He wasn't feeling good. He was feeling sick and everything, and his daughter convinced him to go to the hospital. So he was going to take a shower so he could go to the hospital, and then they heard a big loud bang in the bathroom,
Yeah, that's
and
horrible.
yeah, and I guess he was having a heart attack during, like, he was having early signs of the heart attack. That's why he wasn't feeling good with the nausea and stuff. And he ended up having a heart attack in there, and her husband was doing trying to do CPR on him.
And unfortunately, the kids were there.
Yeah, but they were little. I don't think they remember that much.
The older ones.
Well, yeah, maybe the first two, but I don't think the other three do. She has like 5 kids.
I know. All boys.
Yeah,
All boys. And he was a good granddad.
he was a good pawpaw. And I'm glad that he did go move with her because that was one thing I was really worried about because she moved to Washington State. And I wouldn't say like within a year is after he moved there is when he passed.
What was
Because
that
he could,
soon?
yeah, it was pretty soon.
Well, that was the second time she moved back to Washington State, right? He went with her the second time?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Whenever he got orders there. And I was like, I was like, Star, you need to convince your dad to go, you know. Um, I was like, he needs you. I was like, he really does because if he was still staying at the house here, then
Yeah.
there's no telling how long it would have been before
I
anyone
think
discovered him because the other sister, she was always gone,
she's
doing
busy.
her own thing. Yeah. Like working, hanging out with her boyfriend or whatever. So, and then the other son, he had his own little life and wife and whatnot. And then the other daughter, she lived out of state. Well, not out of state, but out of the city,
Yeah,
about three
across the
hours
state.
away. Yeah, she lived in Charlotte. So, yeah.
But she was also the baby and she had all the kids and raising them full time and he was
Oh,
close to them.
Star, she was the favorite.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. She was the favorite. I think I
Normally the
was
younger
Dad's favorite too.
Normally the younger ones are. I don't know.
You
Y'all,
were a pain in his ass.
I was like him. That's how he raised me. As mom. She said that we would back talk and he would tell and she would try to get on us and he would tell her, no, let them speak their minds. Let them say what they want. Nah, 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 nah.
Now you know why that whenever I asked the zodiac cards which spirit animal was going to be dad, the nightingale.
Yeah.
Sing, sweet nightingale, sing,
I ain't gonna do that no more.
sweet. Oh
I
yeah,
used
what was that? You sound
I
like a
used
shy bird over
I
there.
used to be able to sing. I was in chorus and everything when I was younger, but I think the
Me
smoking
too.
cigarettes, tobacco, I think it messed up.
Hmm.
I even
Yeah.
noticed a voice change. So yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, anyways, let's get ready to wrap this episode up.
Yes, see Dee.
I'm going to talk about a little something personal here with my struggles that I'm dealing with right now.
Uh-oh.
So, by now, a lot of y'all know that I've had a miscarriage and I haven't had my period yet, and I'm still wanting my period. But I did get
Mm.
some answers to that, which maybe has a role
Why
in
haven't
this.
you told your sister this?
What I did. You just don't listen to me. You're always yelling at your kids.
I know, they're such pain in the ass. I love them to death, but they are. Sorry.
Well, you're gonna miss it one day.
Yeah, I will. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So,
And
and the lining of my uterus is like 3 millimeters thickness.
okay,
Yeah, you
I
remember
remember.
now? Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
sorry. Sorry.
And in order to have a healthy pregnancy, your uterus needs to be at least 7 millimeters. So I have a OBGY appointment coming up soon. And I'm going to ask them to put me on like one of the most hormonal birth controls out there so I can help thicken up my uterus and hopefully get my period because I haven't had my period since the miscarriage.
Mm,
And
it's
and my due
mm.
date would be November the 15th. So just under a month away. And
Oh, the 15th.
I already put off work for it, and I have a nice idea I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be painting a nice portrait,
Yeah, good.
a thrift stop one. Yeah, so it's going to be my labor of love.
Cool.
And yeah, it's pretty cool. I can't wait. So I need to know, am I going to be getting a period soon? Jesus, I need a period. I mean, it's
It's
nice
just
not
so
bleeding and all, but
when you
it
say
sucks
that, it just reminds me
because
of my kids.
it makes you feel like a less of a woman. So it just sucks at this
Uh,
moment.
at your age, yes,
Yeah.
because
I understand menopause. That's part of being a
pray,
woman.
pray, pray, pray.
And that's a blessing to be able to go through because a lot of people don't get to get to that. So
Pray, 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 pray. Yeah, but our oldest sister
I
is
got my
normal.
little pendulum and I'm going to be asking a question.
Ready? Ask.
Oh, are they going to figure this shit out with me with this appointment?
There's no way we could see it.
No, I'm trying to figure it out. Well, it's like it's going to yes. So it's going back and forth to yes. So that's good, I guess. It took a minute, but I'm thinking eventually they will get there. That's how I'm reading it. All right, what's your
It'll
question?
take time. And then, I'm sorry.
What's your question?
Oh, I don't know. Uh,
Are you going to be moving to West Virginia this year? Well, maybe not this year, but this coming year.
Within the next year and a half.
No, 2024 is your deadline.
Oh, I thought you said that's what that thing said.
It says yes, and you need to do it in 2024. Especially if I do get pregnant
Yes.
by then.
You ought to ask another question.
What?
Are we going to end up or will we go into World War III
I don't want to
Bye.
go political.
next election? That's what I'm afraid of.
I
Lord,
already
let's
know
just
the answer
pray.
to that. I already
Let's
know
just
the
pray.
answer to that. I don't want to talk about it. So, you have
And see,
another question?
No. Not
Are
really.
we? Oh, so let me wrap up with this episode since you don't have nothing else.
Okay, because a lot of it's political. I'm just so worried about the state of the world.
So, our next episode, we are going to have a special guest on.
Dun, dun, dun,
I'm
dun.
having another guest. I love having a guest. It's so fun and intriguing. And my sister is going to make sure that she puts her face on this next episode.
We discussed that. If not my face, a picture. I just have to learn how to do that.
You have to have
Working
your
on it.
camera on and then have your camera point at a picture. That's how you do it. So
Okay.
that's how you would do it. So make
Okay,
sure you
yeah.
find a nice printed picture of you that you like. And then just have it, like
Well,
this.
that would be years ago then.
I don't care. I'd rather see your face. I'd rather see you talking because that's what people want to see.
Well, we can't do that
people
quite
don't
yet.
care about your hair. People don't care about. I care about my hair. You don't care about your hair.
I do care about my hair.
No, you
I
don't.
don't go and when I'm at home, I don't. Look, I am 50 years old. I ain't got time to be doing all that
Exactly.
stuff.
You don't care. Like you're like, whatever. You go out into Walmart without a bra, and I'm like, God, Stacey, stop. Put those away.
My husband does not like them being constricted. Yeah. I do, but when I go to the schools and
Probably
doctors,
at the
I do.
home, it's fine. I don't wear a bra at home either.
I wear freaking pajamas going to Walmart or Food Lion.
Exactly.
I'm
Like
one
I
of
said,
them.
you don't care what you look like to the public. Now, me, I do. I kind of care.
Oh, to the public? Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's
No
why I'm
offense.
like, who cares? So might as well just show your face and have a
Not
video.
to the internet world.
What is the difference, child? They're recording you at Walmart.
Oh.
They record you at Walmart. Then
I
they
really
just
don't.
put your whole face on the
I
TV.
normally
It's
order.
for everybody that's
I
out of the
know.
way can see you.
But I normally just true. But
So
people aren't
find
specifically
you a
looking.
nice little Stacy corner, okay?
Not next week because
And
I
then you
laugh too
can
much.
bring your smile like this.
Oh wow. Yes, that was.
She knows. What
I
that's
have an
about.
attitude problem. Smile.
With
That's
your
a
happy
dad
pills.
story too.
Yeah. He's on my mind a lot during the Halloween because my dad was
Yeah.
an atheist. Our dad was an atheist.
Not
Yeah,
I think
he
towards
was.
the end he was questioning it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
He
for the
was.
most part, he was an atheist.
And that's only because, and he explained it to me why.
Why?
Well, it's a couple
Because
reasons.
the devil gives you pleasure. That's what he told
No.
me. Yeah, that's what he
That's
told
funny.
me when I was going to church all the time.
One of his stepmoms was a Roman Catholic. So that was forced on them when they were young. And he read some of the Bible before, and he said it was one of the scariest books. There was nothing but murder, rapes, and everything in it. So
It is true. And I was just thinking about that the other day. I mean, there's just a lot of bad news in there. I mean, God flooded the earth and killed a lot of people because of the sin and stuff. So I don't know.
I don't know
Yeah.
either, but I gotta
mean,
pee.
if people have free will, I mean, he took that away from them, in my opinion. So did they really have free will?
Well, they chose to do it, didn't they?
They didn't chose to drown the world. That was God's decision. We
Well,
could
they
save
chose
this
their
for
actions
we could
when
save
they
this
were trying to
topic
preach his
for another
word.
day.
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I never read the Bible. It was
I
hard for
read
me to
bits and parts of
understand.
it. There's some good things in there, you know, there's some positivities in there, but yeah, there's like, you know, there Dad is right, you know, there is a lot
But
of
then
killing
again,
in there
look
and
at the world. That's how it's always
sacrifices.
been.
So
Yeah, that's kind of.
there's a lot. And then it's so demonic in a way because they're all like covered in the blood of Jesus. It's like covered in the blood of Jesus. That sounds something that like Satanists would do, be like
Yeah.
covered in the blood, you know, and you're thinking like blood rituals and whatnot, because there's some blood rituals, you know, you'll drink animals'
Yeah.
blood and whatnot. So yeah, that's
Ooh.
just I don't know.
Well, didn't they also
It's very contradictory in my opinion.
slaughter a lamb or something?
Plus,
Something.
yeah, exactly. There's a lot of
Put it on an
sacrifices.
altar.
I mean, it sounds very demonic, in my opinion. But then again, this Bible is written by man. It is not written by God. It's written by a man, and that
And
man
it was interpreted.
King James, yes, from Latin. Or
He
Hebrew,
did not
one of
write
those
it,
two.
but he had somebody translate it.
He had his
and
people write it, and then they took out stuff that they didn't want you to know about. And that's
Were
probably
you
all of the
surprised?
magical stuff. All of
And
the
how'd you
magical
learn
stuff.
this, dear sister?
Our podcast.
From whose, dear sister?
Our podcast.
I told you. And then you went and
Yeah.
looked it up.
Us. Our podcast is how I learned.
Yes.
We have an episode on it, so y'all can go find it if you hadn't already. But if you're at this point, I'm pretty sure you already did. So
And
you
I
can just
learned
go
that
back
in-
and reference that.
I learned that in
So
college.
yes,
and I never thought about it.
my battery is dying. So let me wrap this up. I do have a special guest coming in next week. You can go find him on TikTok as the Ghost Whisperer. Great guy. He uses this little voice box to communicate to spirits, and he's going to tell us some of his favorite stories, etc. It's going to be fun. Like he interviewed
wait.
like Marilyn Monroe. I want to say the Shanann Watts and everything. If you know anything about Shanann Watts, Chris Watts.
Oh, yeah. That's horrible.
And a whole bunch of other famous people. Yeah. If you don't know, I went to high school with Chris Watts. So.
And what's his name again? Or
the Ghost
online name?
Whisperer. The Ghost Whisperer. So you can go look for him. He should be on Facebook as well. Probably Instagram, the Ghost Whisperer. So yeah.
Is he on YouTube?
Probably. I'll have to ask him.
I do a lot of YouTubes.
But you know where his hometown
Rumble.
is?
Where?
Amarillo. Small world, right?
It's a small world.
But he's a trucker now, so he travels throughout all of the country. So he's been a follower of mine since I was on political TikTok. Just because, like, I think actually, he was a follower of mine when I first had my first TikTok of Wiccan Ways back in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah. When I had the Wiccan Ways page, then I had a lot of people follow me, and then I got banned for talking about human trafficking and stuff. So they banned me.
The truth.
And yeah. So I've had many accounts on TikTok. I don't even remember all of their names. So
I don't do TikTok.
I have like almost 23,000 followers right now on my political page, which I quit being political on there. But if y'all guys want to go find it, you can. It's Witch for Trump 1. But I think I also changed it to
One, like the number one, or
yeah,
the word, or WON.
the number, the number.
Okay.
I think I also changed the screen name. The username is Witch for Liberty, but I think the @ is still at Witch for Trump 1.
Okay.
Also, I have a Witch
Interesting.
for Trump 2. Yeah. Like I said, I have a lot. I have Witch for Trump Homestead. I got Wicked Ways. That's it. No. All right, guys. I got it in this episode. My battery is dying. Thank you all for listening to Wicked Ways podcast. This is your girl Pearl signing out this mug.
And this is Stacy. Check you laters.
Let's be. Bye.